today I am given responsibility to deliver a lecture on the recent amendment in Cooperative Societies Act, which took place in July 2019, and this amendment is exclusively for cooperative housing societies by making certain amendments in existing provisions of the Maharashtra Cooperative Societies Act 1960, and this new chapter has been added in the Maharashtra Cooperative Societies Act 1960 exclusively for cooperative housing societies. Such demand from the activists practicing in cooperative housing sector as well as from federations that there has to be a separate act for cooperative housing societies. Refer the Societies Act 1960, very few provisions, less provisions, they are applicable to cooperative housing societies, and a substantial part of the Maharashtra Cooperative Societies Act 1960, we cannot make that part applicable to cooperative housing societies, or if we try to make applicable to cooperative housing societies, then it will not be advisable for the healthy development of cooperative housing sector, especially in Maharashtra. So there was a consistent demand that there has to be a separate enactment, separate legislation or separate law for cooperative housing. After all, the Maharashtra government formed a committee. That committee studied the things, and they given by that committee, in July 2019, the act was amended for housing societies. Cooperative housing societies are registered under the provisions of Maharashtra Cooperative Societies Act 1960. If we see those amendments in Maharashtra Cooperative Societies Act 1960 pertaining to cooperative housing societies, we have to see there is new chapter number 13B in the Maharashtra Cooperative Societies Act 1960, and the name of that chapter itself is Cooperative Housing Societies, and that chapter consists around 32 section 154B to section 154B 31, means exclusively one section. It is started with section 154B, and there are then section 154B1, B2, like that. There are total 32 sections till 154B 31. Besides this new chapter, there are certain amendments by additions or deletions in the existing provisions of the Maharashtra Cooperative Societies Act 1960. They are not directly incorporated in that chapter, but by making additions and deletion in the existing legal provisions of the Maharashtra Cooperative Societies Act 1960, these amendments have been done, and these amendments have been done exclusively for cooperative housing societies only. Now let us see that first addition by amending the existing provision, that is amendment of section 73CB, is for State Cooperative Election Authority. It provides for State Cooperative Election Authority, and if we remember 97th Constitutional Amendment Act 2011, on the basis of that, our Maharashtra Cooperative Societies Act was amended in 2014 on the basis of 97th Constitutional Amendment. As per that Constitutional Amendment, it was mandatory for every state to establish or to form a State Cooperative Election Authority to hold elections of the managing committees of the societies registered under the Cooperative Societies Act of that respective state. And since then, all societies, they were subject to section 73CB, means when their elections are due, they are required to approach to the State Cooperative Election Authority by submitting the required details, by making the required payment. Thereafter, the State Cooperative Election Authority used to appoint a returning officer to conduct your society, election of managing committee of your society. Election officer comes to the society, he declares election process, that is means entire election program he declares in on notice board, and thereafter he conducts the election process of your cooperative societies. That cooperative housing societies should be excluded from this election process, and as it was happening earlier, cooperative societies should be allowed to conduct elections of their managing committees in society itself by following due rules, election rules, by following due election process, by appointing returning officer by the society itself. And this was substantially accepted in the Amendments Act, and in section 73CB, by adding provisions, the housing societies are empowered to conduct elections of their managing committees at societies level only. So what are these additions? Let us see. In case of housing society having less than or up to 250 members, the elections of the committee shall be conducted by the said housing society. Means the election. See, in case of housing society having less than or up to 250 members, means the society having less than or up to 250 members, that housing society now can conduct elections at societies level only. That society itself can conduct elections of the managing committee by the said housing society in the manner as may be prescribed. Now, the see, for every procedure there have to be rules, and the election rules to conduct elections by those societies having less than or up to 250 members. The election rules are in pipeline, and they may come, I think after this period they may come, and after that the election process, the societies can start at societies level. By that time, the registering authority of the government has given extension to the existing managing committees. Still the new rules are framed. So this is the main amendment in the Act to give relief to cooperative housing societies. Now, cooperative housing societies having less than or up to 250 members, they are not required to go to the state cooperative election authority and to follow that and to wait for long time till the state cooperative election authority appoints the election officer and all these things. Now, as elections are due, your society can hold elections. But the societies having 250 or more members, those societies, they will have to follow the election procedure as per the election rules published or prescribed by the state cooperative election authority. There are election rules to conduct elections of different types of cooperative societies registered under this Act. Now, next amendment in the existing legal provision, that is section 101. We all know, being law professionals, we all know that section 101, that is for recovery of dues of cooperative societies, and earlier this was types of societies to recover the outstanding dues from its members. Now, housing societies have been excluded from section 101. Now, the housing societies cannot submit application to bring a recovery certificate, to secure recovery certificate from the registrar under section 101. Means under section 101 is no more applicable to cooperative housing societies. Instead, in the new chapter, there is new section 154B29, that is applicable for recovery of dues of cooperative housing societies. And this is all cooperative housing societies, not like election. Means now housing societies, if they want to submit application to the registrar for recovery of its dues, sending dues from the members, then those housing societies are required to submit a suitable application in the prescribed form to the registrar under section 154B29. Means housing societies are now excluded from section 101. Now, while submitting applications, instead of using section 101, we will have to use section 154 B29. Now, this is also main amendment by deletion housing societies from section 101. Now, further amendment, that is amendment in section 146 and correspondingly in section 147. Section 146 is for offenses. There is list of offenses. There are clauses, clause A to clause Q. For in every clause there is then what will be that offense that is mentioned under section 146. So 146 is for offenses, and corresponding section 147, that is punishment for offenses under section 146. Means for every offense under section 146 there is punishment under section 147, and the clauses are same, clauses numbers are same. Here for offense there is punishment under section 147, under means for every offense under section 146 there is corresponding punishment under section 147. Now here there is clause P2. Clause P2 has been added in section 146 as well as in section 147. What is this clause P2? In new chapter there is a section 154B8, that is right of the members to inspect the books records of the societies. Yes, section 154B81 that provides for inspection of the records, books of the societies by the member. 2 of section 154B8, that subsection provides for if member applies for the copies of the documents which come under section 1 of section 154B8, the society, that is managing committee, is bound to supply certified copies to the concerned members, provided that the members officially apply to the society and they pay the required fees. This fees per page or per document that is to be prescribed by the registrar, and by paying those charges the member can ask the society to supply him certified copies of those documents. Now if the committee, means this is applicable to past officer, present officer, past committee member, present committee member, okay. Even past committee members, they had not provided the copies, supplied copies, they are also liable. So what is this section P2? It is binding on the committee members or officers, office bearers especially, to provide copies to the member, certified copies to the member under subsection 2 of section 154B8. And there is prescribed time limit within what period the office bearers, the society, will have to supply copies to the members, and that prescribed period is 45 days. Within 45 days, when there is no government assistance help, any type of government assistance help to the cooperative society, for that cooperative housing society 45 days time period is given to provide copies to the concerned member. And in case of cooperative housing society which is aided by the, assisted by the government by way of contribution in capital, by way of providing land, by way of providing any subsidies, etc., any other government facility for that society, then for that society having government assistance, that society, managing committee of the society, they will have to provide copies to the concerned member within 30 days. No, so this is period of 45 days or 30 days as the case may be. If the managing committee fails to supply those copies within this prescribed period, then that will be treated as offense under clause P2 of section 146 of the Maharashtra Cooperative Societies Act 1960, and for that offense under corresponding section P2 of section 147 there is a provision of punishment by way of fine, and this fine is at the rate of 100 rupees per day for the delayed period after prescribed time period, after 45 days or after 30 days. Per day 100 rupees will be charged as fine to the concerned managing committee members, and this fine is up to the extent of rupees 5,000, means there is ceiling for this fine 5,000 rupees. See, not providing copy, that is offense, and there is a punishment by way of fine, it's okay. But what are the repercussions if any action has been taken under section 146 or 147? That is more serious, and that is if any action has been taken under section 146 and under section 147, that committee member is disqualified, he is not eligible, he is in the committee, he will have to vacate his post, he will have to leave the committee, and further he is disqualified, he is held not eligible to come in the committee as managing committee member for next 5 years. Means these are the repercussions, certain violations for which this type of repercussions are there. Means this offense is 146, a punishment under section 147, then corresponding to that there is a disqualification from the post of managing committee. Now, next amendment that is in the existing section, that is section 152. That we all know that section 152 is for appeal. Okay. See, there means when we receive any decision or order from the society, and if we are not satisfied with the decision of the society or order of the society, then we have option to go into appeal under section 152 to the registrar. If there is order from the registrar and if we are not satisfied with the order of the registrar, there is a provision for appeal under section 152 to the higher authority. Means in this process we can go to the level of government. See, under section 152 there are provisions of appeal. Now orders are given under different sections. Which sections, orders under which sections they are appealable, they can be challenged in appeal, that is mentioned under section 152 in subsection 1 of section 152. Means there is list of sections, and if that order has been issued under any section which is coming under subsection 1 of section 152, then only there is a provision of appeal. Then only you file appeal. Wherever there is a provision jurisdiction, as per jurisdiction the appeal is required to be filed. Okay. Now here for registration of the cooperative housing society, there are certain provisions in a new amendment, that is in new chapter. So pertaining to registration, if you are not satisfied with the decision of the registering authority against the decision the registering authority to the higher authority under section 152, that is why under section 152 these provisions in new chapter pertaining to registration of cooperative housing society, they are included under section 152 subsection 1 of section 152. That is section 154B, that is added there. Section 154B, that is about registration of cooperative societies, housing societies. Section 154B3 is there, that is also added under section 152, that is in subsection 1 of section 152. Section 154B3 in new amendment, that is for application for reservation of name and opening of bank account. One person as chief promoter, and we authorize that chief promoter to carry on further process of registration of society, and the chief promoter submits application for reservation of name and opening of bank account. And if your application is rejected by the government, or the registrar has refused to reserve name or to give permission to open bank account in the name of your proposed society, then you can challenge the registrar's order in appeal to the higher authority. Then another section that is added in subsection 1 of section 152, that is section 154b9. That is, so section 154b9 is there, that is for removal of member. If you are not satisfied with the order of the registrar in connection with the removal of a member, your application with removal of member, then you can file appeal to the higher authority under section 152. And another section that is added in subsection 1 of section 152, that section is 154b27. That section 154b27, that is for obligation of society to take action and registrar's power to enforce. Means societies are bound to take action to perform certain obligations, responsibilities as per the Maharashtra Cooperative Societies Act 1960, as per the rules 1961, as per the bylaws. And if the societies fail to take action, then the registrar has power to take further action against the society, if required, to disqualify the managing committee of the society. And if you are not satisfied with the action taken by the registrar for violation from your part of section 154b27, then you can challenge the registrar's order in appeal under section 152 to the higher authority. Now next, in section 154. See, section 152 is for appeal and section 154 is for revisionary power of the state government and registrar. Means where there is no appeal, you can file application under section 154. That application is called as application for revision. Means the order you want to challenge. Means you can challenge that order if that remedy is not available to you to file appeal under section 154. Then under section 152, then you can challenge that order under section 154 by submitting revision application before the appropriate authority or before the state government, that is before the minister. Now see, that 101, that is for recovery of dues of cooperative societies, and if the order is issued under section 101, then that order cannot be challenged in appeal. It is not appealable order. It cannot be challenged in appeal under section 152. But there is scope to challenge that order under section 154 by filing revision application. And before filing revision application, it is mandatory, it is binding on the concerned member. If the order is against the member, then that member, first of all, he will have to pay 50% of the amount of that recovery mentioned in the recovery certificate to the concerned society. Then only he is entitled to file revision application under section 154. Now, section 101 is not applicable for cooperative housing society. Instead, new section has been inserted, new section has been provided in the amendment, that is section 154b29. That is why if the order is under section 154b29, means section 154b29 is the similar line of section 101. That is why whatever remedies are available for section 101, they are also available for section 154b29. The only difference is this section is exclusively for cooperative housing societies. So now under section 154, that is revisionary powers of state government and registrar, section 154b29 has been added. Means if the registrar has issued recovery certificate and order under section 154b29, then there is no provision for appeal. That is why you can file a revision application before the registering authority. This is addition in the existing section 154. There is amendment in section 156. This section 156, that provides for registrar's power to recover certain sums by attachment and sale of property. Again the same thing. See, that is replacement of section 101 only, means, or in addition to section 101 we can say. And for housing societies it is replacement of section 101. After obtaining recovery certificate under section 154B29, next step is to execute that recovery certificate under section 156 by obtaining registrar's permission by appointing special recovery officer. The order recovery certificate that is executed by the special recovery officer executes that order by attachment and sale of property of that member. So this is provision of section 156. Now in addition to section 101, now section 154B29 is also added in section 156. Now see, because of replacement of section 101 by section 154B29 for cooperative housing societies, there is addition of section 154B29 in section 154 as well as in section 156, because 154 and 156 they relate. 154 that is for a revision application, and 156 that is for sale of property by attachment by the special recovery officer, especially when the recovery certificate issued by the registrar. So under section 156 also section 154B29 has been added. So this is also amendment in the present provisions of section 156. Now there is a new chapter. Let us see the new chapter now. That new chapter has been inserted in the Maharashtra Cooperative Societies Act 1960. That chapter is new chapter 13B, and heading of that chapter is cooperative housing societies. And this chapter consists around 32 section 154B to section B31. Now here section 154B that provides for there are two subsections, 154B subsection 1 and subsection 2. Now let us come to section 154B1. Now in section 154B1 there are certain definitions. Some definitions are given in section 154B1. I will touch some important definitions only, because other definitions they are just formal definitions. That first definition that I am going to see, that is association of society. So for association of society means where in one complex there are more cooperative housing societies, registered cooperative housing societies registered under the MCS Act 1960, and the common amenities in that complex they are commonly used. Swimming pool, garden, clubhouse is there, then other amenities are there. They are used commonly by all cooperative housing societies in that complex. In that case, earlier we used to form federations of those cooperative housing societies. Now you can form association of society, and to form association of society at least 5 registered cooperative housing societies are required. Means this association of societies that can be formed by not less than 5 cooperative housing societies already registered under the Cooperative Societies Act 1960. Now if there are less than 5 cooperative housing societies in that complex and they have common amenities, then common services, common amenities, then there is a provision of cooperative housing association. Its earlier name was association of society, where minimum 5 cooperative housing societies are required, but when less cooperative housing societies and some other legal bodies are there, because in some complex we find that there are condominium, there are flat owners association, these legal bodies are there other than cooperative housing societies, and number is not 5 or more, then in that case they can form cooperative housing association for which two or more housing societies or other legal bodies are required. Means where there are two or more housing societies or other legal bodies, they can form cooperative housing association instead of association of society. Means the room is their scope is given even though there are less number of cooperative societies in the complex to look after common services, common amenities, etc. Next definition given, that is of defaulter, that is important definition. So in the definition of defaulter, this is applicable to member as well as flat owner yet obtained membership of the society, or occupier, he is occupying the flat of any member of your society. Then for all for member, flat owner, occupier, this defaulter concept is applicable. But when it is made applicable to them, when this member, flat owner, occupier fails to pay the dues of the society within 3 months from the date of service of bill. See, service of bill or notice, that is demand notice sent to that member, or due date of payment, whichever is later. If you have served bill and not served notice yet, and even that bill is to be paid immediately, there is no letter date as due date for payment, then since you have not issued notice due date, the date of bill will be considered, and from that period the period will be counted. If you have issued notice, then from the date of notice this period will be counted. But if you have issued bill and not notice, and in bill letter date is mentioned as due date, then from that date this period will be counted, and that person will be treated as defaulter of a cooperative housing society. And when is defaulter, there are so many repercussions if any member becomes defaulter, that in later sections we will find those repercussions. Now so another definition, that is of housing society. So in housing society's definition, they have put three groups. One is tenant ownership housing society, another is tenant co-partnership housing society, and third one is other housing societies in which house mortgage, house construction, or premises. Mainly we come across with premises cooperative housing society, premises cooperative societies. Okay, this tenant ownership housing societies, they are societies where societies are formed in the name means these societies are plot owner societies, especially they are not flat owner societies. Means society is formed in the name of society, plot is acquired or purchased, and that society, by drawing small plots, that society allots those plots, or that society allots flats in the building considered by the society. This society is tenant ownership housing society. We call that society as plot owner society. Another tenant co-partnership housing society, that is flat purchaser society. Means there is no society, builder constructs the building, especially when the builder developers, they construct the building, and we purchase the flats, and later on we form the society. This society is known as flat purchaser society. And sub classification, see, so far as classification of housing societies is concerned, the main classification, that is housing society, and in sub classification either TO, that is tenant ownership. If you have come across with registration certificate or your sales certificate or registration number of the society, if you find the registration number, in the registration number you will find HSG, that is housing, and in bracket or after slash there is TO, TC like. This means mostly we find TC, that is flat purchasers society. We form our societies later on because we purchase flats from the society and then we form our society. Means we mostly find a TC, that is a tenant co-partnership housing society. Main classification housing, and sub classification either TO, that is tenant ownership, TC, that is tenant co-partnership, and others. Now in others, we do not find much more house mortgage society or house construction societies, but we find premises society. Premises society is that society that there is a building, In that building there are units, different units are there, galas are there. 100% units are commercial, means they are constructed to be used for, in which building the 100% units are to be used as commercial units, commercial galas, to carry out some commercial activities. The society formed by the unit holders, unit owners, that society is known as a premises cooperative society. Now, earlier these premises cooperative societies, they were not considered as housing societies, and we were facing the problems when we used to file application under section 101 before the registrar for recovery of outstanding dues of premises cooperative societies. Then some registrars, they were not entertaining the applications under section 101 on the ground that premises societies are not coming under definition of housing societies, and housing this section in section 101 specifically wording was there of as housing societies and not premises societies. So now that drawback, that is removed by inserting premises societies in the definition of housing societies. Now premises societies will also be treated as housing societies, and whatever remedies are available to the housing societies, they are also available to premises societies. If you are advocate of some premise society and you want to file application before registrar for, then now you can file it under section 154(b)(29), because premises societies are now part and parcel of housing societies. Now another important definition, that is of member. See, by this amendment, the types of member have been increased. Earlier there were three types of member. One, that is main member, then associate member and nominal member. Now the concept of nominal member, that is removed. Nominal member means the licensee, caretaker who used to occupy the flat of your member, means he was admitted as nominal member of your society, holding him responsible, act, rules and bylaws, to holding him responsible to pay the dues of the society, etc. But this concept of nominal member, that has been removed in the new amendment. Now there will be no nominal members. There are new two types in membership. Now there are four types of members now as per this definition. That is main member. Main member is the person who holds title, ownership of the flat or plot. We will call flat or property. That owner is, by default, he becomes member of the society, means he is entitled to become member of the society, and when he becomes member of the society, he is considered as main member of the society, because he is owner of the flat in the society, main owner. Then associate member. Now associate member here in new amendment, see, so far as associate member is concerned, at different times, many changes, many circulars. There was housing manual. In housing manual also clarification was given. One circular was there, clarification was given. In bylaws that some provisions are there, that explanation is there. So now it is more clear about associate member. Now associate member need not be a joint owner. Associate member is not a joint member. Associate member is a person falling in the family definition of family. If that person is your family member falling in the definition of family, then you can appoint any of your family member as associate member to represent you in the society in your absence, to attend general body meeting, etc. One, to contest election of, okay, means the associate member has all these rights, but these rights are restricted. Associate member, if you want to appoint associate member, and if you want him to give authority to attend a meeting, general body meeting, or to vote, etc., then unless you have given your written consent to your associate member, that associate member cannot attend general body meeting, he cannot vote, or without your no objection he cannot contest election of the managing committee. So associate member has restricted rights, and with your consent, only with the consent of main member by whom he has been appointed associate member in the society, with written consent, for every time that associate member will have to take a written consent to exercise membership right in place of main member, to represent the main member in the society's general body meetings, or to exercise voting right. This associate member can exercise these rights in absence of main member and with express, means with clear cut permission in writing, consent in writing of the main member. Another type is that is of joint member. See, joint member is the person who is a joint owner in the property, means the person who holds the title, ownership, interest right in the property as well, along with the main member. That person can be admitted as a joint member in the society. And being a joint, see, name of associate member, that will not reflect in share certificate because he has restricted right. That is why, and he is not owner in the property. But name of joint member, that will reflect in the share certificate, because joint member's name is there in the register document of flat, that is agreement for sale, etc. while purchasing the flat, as a owner, as a joint owner of that flat. And being a joint owner of the flat, he has every right of membership in absence of main member. When main member is absent, then by default that right passes on to the joint member. There is no need of having any written consent from the main member, because he is joint owner in the property. He is being joint owner, he has been admitted as a joint member of the society. His name appears in the share certificate. That is why by default he gets membership rights, but in absence of main member. If main member is present in the meeting, joint member cannot attend meeting, joint member cannot vote, etc. If main member is absent, joint member can attend the meeting, joint member can vote, joint member with the consent of the main member, he can contest the election of the managing committee and become a managing committee. Now, if more joint members, see, flat, many times we purchase flat in the name of more than two members of our family, that is husband, wife, if you have son and daughter, because you love them, that is why you prefer to add their names as well in the agreement. And being the joint owner in the property, they are admitted as members of the society. Now, in what manner the right of membership are to be exercised? See, first of all, the first named person, he is main member. He has all the rights of membership. In his, all these rights, they are passed on to the person whose name is second. If first two named persons are absent, these rights, they pass on to third named person, like this. In this manner, these rights are passed on, rights of membership, they are passed on to the next joint member. Okay, means joint member here is a joint owner. Now, fourth type of membership, see, after the concept, the question of provisional member or the concept of provisional member, that comes into existence after death of main member only. See, main member, he nominates some person, stating therein that after his death, that person will be entitled to become member of the society. That person will be entitled to entitled for shares and interest in the society. Then after death of a main member, that nominee is admitted as a member of the society and his status will be of provisional member. When there is no nomination, then also in the managing committee, particular person is nearest heir of the deceased member, then the committee can prefer to admit that person as a member of the society in place of the deceased member, that person is also treated as a provisional member. Means if there is nomination, nominee is admitted to the membership and the nominee will be admitted to the membership as a provisional member. If no nomination is there, there is see, if you see the provisions of bylaw number 34 and 34, the membership is to be given on the basis of nomination. That provisions are there in bylaw number 34. And in bylaw number 35, when there is no nomination, the membership is given to the heir. The heir or legal representative, that is to be decided by the manager, who is the nearest heir or who is the legal representative of the deceased member, and to is given. In both these cases, the membership is given. That membership is a provisional member. Membership is purely temporary membership. See, after death, if there is a will, then on the basis of will, probate, etc., means testamentary documents, or on the basis of succession certificate, or on the certificate, or on the basis of family arrangements, family arrangement deeds, etc. If some definite person proves that he is entitled to the title ownership of that person or person, he or they are given regular membership of the society, and by that time only, it is a time being a membership till the legal heirs or the person who are entitled entitled for title or ownership of the property, they comes forward with definite documents, documentary evidences. If once it is established that on the basis of those documents, that person entitled for ownership or title of the property is asked to comply with the provisions of the bylaws to become member of the society, and that person is admitted as a member. And here the person, if he is different than that person who has already been admitted as a provisional member, his membership comes to an end. Means provisional membership is purely temporary membership. And provisional member, if you see the note to bylaw number 34, bylaws of cooperative housing society, there is a note to bylaw number 34 that this is required on the basis of nomination, that is provisional membership. Now that person shall hold the property, that person shall have any right. Person cannot sell the flat, or in any other way that person cannot create third party interest. Means it is specifically mentioned that nominee means they has no right of ownership, and he will be treated merely a caretaker of the property. I think membership, that is much more clear to you people. There are 4 types of member, that is main member, associate, joint member, and provisional member. Now let us come to further section, that is section 154B2, to the registration of cooperative societies. Now, except section 6, all other sections, they are applicable as they are to cooperative housing societies. Section 6 is not applicable to cooperative housing societies. Section 6 contains conditions for registration of cooperative housing societies, and there is one condition, that is at least 10 persons are required in any cooperative society. Now, this condition of 10 persons, that is not applicable for registration of a cooperative housing society. Now, you can form cooperative housing society, tenant ownership cooperative housing society, or tenant co-partnership housing society by joining 5 members. Here 5 persons from different families or 51% of the total number of flats, whichever is higher. Okay, means whichever is higher, they are required number of members to form a cooperative housing society. 5 or 51% of total number of flats. Okay, like whichever is higher, they can join and they can form a cooperative housing society. Earlier we have seen for association of societies, at least 5 societies are required, 5 or more societies, they are required to form association of society. Then cooperative housing association, at least 2 housing societies or other legal bodies are required as members to form cooperative housing association. Now, these provisions, they have retrospective, they will continue new amendments as well, and henceforth these provisions, these new provisions that will be made applicable. Okay, here these are provisions regarding registered cooperative societies under section 154b2 as per new amendment. Section 154b3, that is application for reservation of name and permission for opening bank account. I am taking section one by one as mentioned in the amendment. Okay, section 154b3, that is application for reservation of name and permission for opening bank account. Formation of the society, that we hold one informal general meeting. In Marathi we call that as Anaupacharika Sarvasadharan Sabha. In informal general body meeting, we appoint chief promoter and we authorize the chief promoter submits application to the registrar for reservation of a name, and along with the application for reservation of name, if your society is tenant co-partnership society, TC society, tenant co-partnership society, then you will have to attach, if you have obtained only CC commencement certificate, you will have to attach copy of commencement certificate, and if your building has obtained building completion certificate, then you will have to attach building certificate and copy of resolution passed authorizing promoter, and you will have to submit the application. In case of tenant ownership society, application to the registrar by the chief promoter, then tentative layout plan certified by the architect, or if it is sanctioned, then sanctioned layout plan is required to be submitted along with that application. Then resolution authorizing the chief promoter, and the application is submitted to the registrar by the chief promoter. Now it is binding on the registrar to dispose of this application within 30 days and either to communicate to the chief promoter for reservation of name of the society and allowing the chief promoter to open bank account in the name of proposed society. These are regarding application for reservation of name. And so far as registration of cooperative housing society, we will have to refer section 9. Section 9 contains the provision for registration process for registration of cooperative society that is applicable to cooperative housing society as well. Here, after submitting the proposal for registration along with all the required documents for registration of cooperative housing society, the registrar will have to dispose of the application within 2 months from the date of receipt of the application, means either to grant registration or to refuse. And while refusing, the registrar will have to give specific reasons. If the registrar fails to take any decision within 2 months on that application, on the proposal of registration, then after 2 months, that registering authority, that is primary authority, has no power to take any decision on the proposal of registration. After 2 months, that primary registering authority, that authority will have to forward that proposal by mentioning the remark why he could not dispose of the proposal within prescribed period, statutory period of 2 months. He will have to forward with suitable remark the entire proposal within next 15 days to the higher authority, and then higher authority again has time period of 2 months to dispose of the proposal or to take decision on the proposal. Thus total period given to the registering authority, that is of 4 months and 15 days. And if there is no decision from the part of registering authority within period of 4 months and 15 days on your registration proposal, then after expiry of this period of 4 months and 15 days, as per section 9, subsection 2 of section 9, your society shall be deemed to have been registered. That is deemed registration of the society. That provision is there and that is applicable to here also to cooperative housing society. Now next section, that is section 154B4, that is for associate, joint and provisional member, that I have already explained in detail. Next section, that is section 154B5, that is limit on membership. There is limit on membership of cooperative housing society. Means the membership in cooperative housing society should not be exceeding the number of flats or plots available in the society. Means that membership is restricted to the number of flats or plots available in the society. If your building has 100 flats, then maximum there can be 100 members. There cannot be 101 members, 101 members. There can be maximum 100. There can be less members, but not more than the number of units or number of plots. Now next section, that is section 154B6, that is cooperative education and training to members. Now here it is advisable for cooperative housing society under section 154B6 that they should arrange programs of cooperative education and training to its member, to managing committee members, to employees, etc. as per section 154B6. Now next section, that is section 154B7, that is restriction on transfer of shares or interest of a member. See, earlier there was a provision in section 29, unless 1 year is completed to your membership, you were not entitled to transfer your shares and interest to any other persons. That is why, unless 1 year was complete after holding membership of the society, members were not allowed to sell their flats or to transfer their flats to some another person. Now this is not applicable to cooperative housing societies, because section 29, that is not applicable now to cooperative housing societies. It is applicable to other societies but not to cooperative housing societies. Means that the provision of 1 year membership, that is no more binding on the members of cooperative housing societies. So what are other restrictions on transfer of shares and interest? That is, first, the dues of housing society are paid. Means before transferring shares and interest to some other person, that member must have paid dues of the cooperative housing society. And the second requirement, that is the transferee applies and acquires membership. Means the transferee, who is the transferee, he will have to apply as per the bylaws. Some forms are there in the bylaws and procedure is mentioned in the bylaws. That transferee is required to apply and he is required to acquire the membership. Unless he applies and acquires the membership, your membership or your shares will not be transferred. That is obvious. However, these restrictions, that is payment before transferring, that is not applicable. Okay, in these cases, if there is a death, there is a transfer on the basis of nomination, etc. There is transfer in the name of leasee, etc. Now next section, that is section 1, that is rights of members to inspect the books. Earlier also we had reference of this section. So there is subsection 1 of section 154B8. This subsection provides which documents the members can inspect. Members have right to inspect. See, there is a specific list and there is no etc. or any other documents like wording. So this is specific. Members can inspect the documents mentioned in this list only. Which are those documents the members are entitled to inspect, and they can inspect free of cost. Means members can inspect the documents. Okay. Which documents the members can inspect free of cost at the society's office during office hours or any time fixed by the society. Society can fix particular time, days for this purpose, for inspection of documents. The member will have to apply to the society and the society will give specific time to the member. So which are those documents? 1, a copy of the act, the rule and the bylaws. Next, the last audited annual balance sheet, members of the committee. Next, a register of members. Next, the minutes of general meetings. Next, minutes of committee meetings. These are general documents, general record of the society the members can inspect. Besides that, those portions of the books and records in which his transactions with the society have been recorded. A member can ask for inspection of those portions of the books and records of the society in which his transactions with the society have been recorded. Okay? And these provisions are specific. Members can inspect this much documents only. And as per subsection 2 of section 154B8 that I have explained already, that is to supply copies of the documents mentioned in section 1. The member can ask for those copies of the documents mentioned under subsection 1 only, and the societies are bound to, means after making along with application, that member is required to make payment as per the provisions of the bylaws or as prescribed by the registrar. Then it is mandatory on the managing committee of the society to provide certified copies to that member. If that society is not assisted by government in any way, then within 45 days from the date of application of payment of fees, and if the society is assisted by the government, then within 30 days from the date of payment of the society. Next section, that is section 154B9, that is the removal of a member. See what happens once the society gives membership to a particular person and a member another person. Many times we have society takes decision in its managing committee meeting or in general body meeting and removes that member from the membership. But now the societies cannot do this. Societies have no right to remove from the membership once he has been admitted to the membership of the society. See, removal of a member, the expulsion of membership, these are two different things. Expulsion under section 35, that is different part. That action for expulsion, that is taken as a punishment to the member when that member or he breaches the bylaws again, and then society he is persistent, etc. There are so many grounds for expulsion. But this removal, that is not as punishment. That is because of challenge. His membership is challenged. Means somebody challenged that membership given to that particular person, that is in illegal manner, in illegal way. That person is not eligible to become member, or he has submitted false documents, etc., etc. Society now has no power to remove any member. If the question arises as to the membership of the society with respect to membership of a particular person, and if his membership is challenged, then this question will be decided by the registrar. The person who wants to challenge the membership, or if the society wants to challenge the membership, then they will have to file application to the registrar under section 154B9. Registrar, by giving opportunities of being heard to both the parties or to all the parties, can decide this question. And if the registrar finds that the membership was given in illegal manner, the membership was not proper, the membership was based on false or forged document, the registrar will give such order, and from the date of order that member will be removed. Okay, this is the provision for removal of member. Societies now cannot remove any member if any person has been admitted to the membership of the society. Now next section, that is section 154B10. This section 154B10, that is about rights and duties of a member. See, here main right that is given to associate member. Other rights also, rights and duties, I will refer. That is right as provided under this Act, rules, bylaws. Every member has right as provided under Act, rules and bylaws. Then to get certificate of allotment, if the society allots plots or flats, then society will have to give certificate of allotment. Then that members have right to get certificate of allotment. Then member not entitled to title or interest until making payment. See, to get freehold or marketable title of the property, the member is required to make full payment of the flat or plot, then only he is entitled for title or membership of the flat or plot. Defaulter member not eligible for being appointed nominee, means defaulter member is not eligible to be a managing committee member. If he is in the managing committee, he will have to vacate his post. Okay, this defaulter member is not qualified, is entitled or eligible to become a managing committee member in any way, any manner, appointed, nominated, elected, co-opted, like that. Now it is the duty of every member to pay the dues of the society within time as decided in general body meeting. Means every member will have to pay dues of a cooperative society within prescribed time period. If a redevelopment process is going on, then as decided by the general body meeting, in general body meeting, every member will have to vacate his flat and they will have to carry on further redevelopment process. Members are also responsible, liable to perform their duties as per the provisions of Act, rules and bylaws. Okay. Now subsection 6, what says? Subsection 6 of section 154B10, that is important. That subsection gives right to associate member. What is that right? The associate member shall have right to contest the election to the committee with prior written consent of a member. Means with prior written consent of a member, there is one form, appendix 10A in the bylaws. That appendix 10A, that is no objection certificate of a member to become associate member, a committee member. Means to become associate member, a committee member, if no objection letter is given by the member in appendix 10A, then that associate member can contest election of the managing committee. Here, even though the name of associate member doesn't appear in the share certificate as per subsection 6 of section 154B10, the associate member is entitled with prior written consent of a member, entitled to contest the election of the committee, and if elected, he can become a committee member and even office bearer of the society, office bearer of the committee. And in this process, if any action has been taken against the member, that will be applicable to associate member as well. Means associate member is associated with the main member, that is every action with main member, that is applicable to associate member. Now next section, that is section 154B11, that is voting rights of a member. Here, as usual, under section 27, these rights are there now for housing societies, that is section 154B11. One member, one vote, not more than one vote is given per member. See, right to vote to be exercised, right to vote to be exercised personally, not through proxy. Here in cooperative housing societies or any cooperative society, proxy, letter of authority or power of attorney is not allowed to exercise voting right. The voting right is to be exercised in person by taking part in the voting process. If there is equality of votes, that there is tie, then the chairman has right of one additional vote. That vote is called as casting vote, and casting vote is always a decisive vote. So that right of extra vote is there. Associate member has voting right in absence of main member and with prior written consent of the main member. Okay? The provisional member is a regular member in that sense, though he is for time being, he is a regular member because he is in place of the deceased member. That is why the provisional member has a right to vote. So far as voting right to joint membership, I already explained to you, when main member is absent, second name joint member is entitled to vote. If main member and second name joint owner, they are absent, both are absent, then this right is passed on to third member, and in this manner the right is passed on further if there are more names as joint members, joint owners or joint members. In case of association of society, in association of societies, the member society, they appoint their authorized representative, and those authorized representative, they have voting right in association of society. And if there is a company, firm, other body, corporate, local authority or any legal body as a member or members of your society, then they depute their representative and they can exercise their voting right through their representatives. They can be director or authorized person or partner in case of partnership firm. So these are about voting rights under section 154B11 now. Now section 154B12 is there, transfer of shares, rights, title and interest. Now to give effect, see here transfer of share, that is transfer of membership, right, that is membership right, the title and interest, the title that pertains to ownership. So collectively for this purpose, first of all, there has to be any registered document. That registered document can be agreement for sale or sale deed, gift deed, etc. or transfer deed. ठीक है, by way of executing the registered document, registered deed, and by following the due procedure as per the law to become for transfer of shares and interest, the shares and interest can be transferred in the name of transferee. The entire procedure that is given. If we refer bylaw number 38 and bylaw number 38, this entire process is given. What are the required? Then section 154(13), that is transfer of interest on death of a member, that I have already explained. Means the on death of member, privacy preference is given first to if there is before giving membership to the nomination or the person claiming to be here, if any person testament or probate, if will is probated, then that will be a testimony document. Then succession certificate, legal heirship certificate, or family arrangement deed, etc. Then that person will be given because he has established that on the basis of any of those documents, he is entitled, means he holds the title or ownership in the flat. So that is why the membership preference will be given to him if he brings any of these documents. And that membership will be confirmed membership, not provisional membership. But if no one submits any of these documents, then the membership will be given on the basis of nomination to the nominee, and that nominee will be provisional member. And if no nomination is there, then membership will be given to such person as a provisional member as may appear to the committee to be the heir or legal representative of the deceased member. Means the person, the committee can consider that this is nearest heir or his legal representative of the deceased. When there is no nomination, the provisional membership given on the basis of nomination, or when there is no nomination to heir or legal representative, this membership is provisional membership, and this is a purely temporary membership. Now next section, that is section 154(b)(14), charge of society in respect of shares and interest of a member. If a member has certain is liable to pay to the society, then even he has submitted resignation or even he is died, hold charge on his share and interest in the society, and society can adjust that amount of shares, etc., against the outstanding dues of the society as per section 154(b)(14). Section 154(b)(15) is there, creation of funds. See, to create funds, we will have to refer bylaws. See, there are different provisions in the bylaws, bylaw number 12, 13, 14, 15. So in different how the funds are created, in what manner they are to be utilized, if funds are unutilized, in what manner they are to be invested, they are mentioned from bylaw number 12 to bylaw number 15. So everything is given about creation of funds, which fund society can create. The list is given there. That for this purpose you can follow the bylaws for creation of funds as per the provisions prescribed by the register, that is in the bylaws. Next section, that is section 154(b)(16), that is levy of charges by the society. Here also again we will have to refer the bylaws. If we refer bylaw number 65, 66, 67A, especially 67A provides for basis for levy of charges of the society. So in the act much more information is not given because bylaws are very much clear, and as per the provisions of these bylaws, the society can levy charges on the members. Next section, that is section 154(b)(17), investment of funds. So so far as investment of funds, the society, mostly cooperative housing societies, they prefer to invest their funds in cooperative banks. But what is provision as per the new amendment? See, the society can invest its funds firstly in a district central cooperative bank, the state cooperative bank having awarded at least A audit class in last 3 consecutive years. Means district central cooperative bank or state cooperative bank is the first, should be the first preference, but that bank must have obtained A audit class during the last 3 consecutive years, And if no such central cooperative bank is available in that district, then society can invest its fund in any nationalized bank. Here there is no mention of urban cooperative banks, even it is scheduled bank, district central cooperative bank or state cooperative bank, and if those banks are not there, then nationalized banks. Now other provisions we generally do not follow because they are means unknown to the members, managing committee members of cooperative housing society. They are in any of securities specified in section 20 of the Indian Trust Act 1882. Then in the shares or security bond or debentures issued by any other society with limited liability, in any other mode permitted by rules or by general or special order issued in that behalf by the state government. Mostly we prefer first one. Societies, many societies, they prefer in scheduled urban cooperative banks, but that in this list the urban cooperative banks are not mentioned. Okay, so this is provision for investment of funds. Then section 154B18 is there, utilization of funds. So the funds of the society are to be utilized. Again we will have to refer the bylaws, because the specific bylaws are there in what manner the society can utilize its funds. So they are mentioned in the bylaws. Okay, if corpus fund is there, then society can utilize corpus fund by passing suitable resolution in the general body meeting as decided by the members in the general body meeting. So this is about funds and their investments, etc. Now next section, that is section 154B19, that is the constitution of a committee. When committee is declared as constituted, आपण committeeचं गठन वगैरे म्हणतो. See, in the election process, if 2/3 or more of the total strength of the committee as per bylaws are declared elected, then on the date of declaration of election result, it is assumed that the committee has been constituted, because the required number of members of the managing committee, they are declared elected. They are 2/3 or more members of the prescribed strength of the committee. The strength of the managing committee, that is based on the number of members of the society. If you refer bylaw number 114, this strength means 11, 13, 15, 17, 19, that is mentioned on the basis of number of members. Out of this strength, if 2/3 or more members are declared elected, then from the date of declaration of election result, the committee is treated as constituted, and the tenure or term of the committee, that is of 5 years from the date of first meeting. This 5 year is to be counted from the date of first meeting, because means from the date of first meeting that new committee enters into officially of the society. So this 5 year period, that is counted from the first meeting. If there is casual vacancies later on account of resignation or death, then these casual vacancies can be filled in by the cooperative society by co-option from the member of that particular category only, and the term of that co-opted member, that will be along with the other committee members, coterminous with other committee members. Section 154B20, that is reservation on certain seats on committee of societies and election thereto. This reservation, now we see what are the provisions of the Cooperative MCS Act now for reservation. They are not applicable. Means provisions are same, but section number is different here. This reservation under section 154B20, that is caste based reservation. Here one seat in the managing committee, that is reserved for SC or ST category member. One seat is reserved for SC or ST. One seat is reserved for OBC, that is other backward class, and one seat is reserved for DT, that is denotified tribes, that is Vimukta Jatis, or NT, that is nomadic tribes, or SBC, that is special backward classes. 3 seats are reserved in the managing committee on caste basis. As per section 154B21, there is a reservation for women. There are 2 seats are reserved for women in the committee. If as per section 154B22, if the members from these reserved categories, they are not available, then The strength of the managing committee, these seats are not to be counted. See, reserve seats not to be counted for strength of managing committee for quorum of managing committee meeting till the reserve category members are not available. Means if reserve category members are not available, then for quorum purpose in total strength, these seats are not to be counted. Means excluding these seats in the total number of members, quorum is to be counted. Then next important provision, that is section 150 in section 154b3, that is about disqualification of a committee and its members. See, the ground for disqualification, first one, that is if any member is defaulter of any society, not of that particular society, if he is defaulter of any society, then he is disqualified to be member of the society, committee member of the society. Another important provision in this new amendment, that is if any member of the society, if he carries on business as a broker or estate agent to give flats on leave and license basis or to sell the flats of the society of which he is member, then he cannot be committee member of that society. Means the person who is real estate agent in his society also, means he carry out his business for his society's flats also, then he cannot be elected, he is disqualified, he is not eligible to be committee member. This is a new amendment, new provision, and this is quite a good provision. Then if any member has been held responsible under section 79, this section 79 is for filing of returns. If any committee member fails, means responsible committee members fails to file returns, and if he is held responsible for not filing returns, annual returns of the society, then also he is not eligible to be a committee member. If any member has been held responsible under section 88, the section 88, that is for assessment of damages. See, under inquiry under section 83, if any committee member is held responsible and on the basis of inquiry to assess the damages to the society because of some wrong things done by that member, if action under section 88 for assessment of damages has been initiated, then that member is also not eligible to become committee member. Section 154b8(2), that is subsection 2 of section 154b8, that is not supplying copies within specified period, then also that member is not eligible to become committee member. If held responsible under section 154b27, b27, that is not complying with the directions given by the registrar or not complying with responsibilities, and if action has been taken by the registrar, then also the concerned member is not eligible to be committee member. Then if any committee member has been held responsible for payment of cost of inquiry under section 85, then also that member is not eligible to become a managing committee member. So these are some provisions to miss for holding to not eligible to be a managing committee member. Next, if he has incurred any disqualification, other disqualification under this act rules, there are other some provisions there, they violate any of those provisions, then also they are treated as disqualified to become a committee member. For example, under section 75(1), it is a responsibility to hold the annual general body meeting on or before 30th September, and if the annual general body meeting is not held on or before 30th September, then under section 75 subsection 5, the concerned office bearer, they are removed from the committee and they are treated as disqualified for next full term of 5 years to the extent of 5 years. So certain other provisions are there in the act under which section there is a provision of disqualification to be a committee member. So if any member incurs any of the disqualification similar to that mentioned in the provisions of section 73CA. See, in original act, section 73CA is there, and that section 73CA gives a list of grounds for disqualification to be a committee member. In that, clause 7 is there. What clause 7 says? If any member has more than 2 children, then that member is not eligible to be a committee member of the society as per clause 7 of section 73CA. the member having more than 2 children is not eligible to be a committee member. 46 and penalized under section 147. I already explained to you that if any member is held guilty under section 146 and he is penalized under section 147, that member is also not eligible to be a committee member. Then clause 9 is there. If any member has undergone imprisonment of not less than 1 year, then also that member is not eligible to be a committee member. Okay, these are provisions under subsection under clause F of subsection 1 of section 73CA. Now, if any committee member is there and any disqualification is attached to that committee member, then that committee member shall cease to be a member of the committee immediately, and his seat shall thereupon be deemed to be vacant. Means that member will have to vacate his seats, and that will be filled in by co-option from the member of the same category. See, here, except the defaulter. See, the disqualification of the defaulter, that can be rectified by making payment. If the defaulter member makes the payment, this disqualification is removed and he is entitled to become a managing committee member. But if any other disqualification is attached to any member, then that member is disqualified for full term of 5 years. To the extent of 5 years, that member is disqualified. Means except defaulter, means ground of defaulter, on any other ground, if disqualification is there, then that cannot be rectified immediately. To the extent of 5 years, that member will be treated as disqualified. So these are the provisions of disqualification under section 154B23 in the new amendment. Now section 154B24 is there, that is for motion of no confidence against officer of society. See, first of all, see, no any motion of no confidence can be moved unless or until any officer or office bearer completes his initial term of 6 months. Means from entering upon the office, for first 6 months, no confidence motion cannot be brought against any officer or office bearer of the society. See, if no confidence motion is to be brought against any office bearer, committee member, etc., then this no confidence motion is to be moved in the special meeting of the committee, and to call this special meeting of the committee, a requisition should be submitted to the registrar by at least 1/3 managing committee members to call special meeting of the committee against particular office bearer or particular committee member. Then as soon as the registrar receive the requisition from 1/3 or more committee members, that is elected committee members, registrar within 7 days will have to issue notice. Means not later than 15 days of the notice. In 15 days, this special meeting of the committee that is required to be held, and in this meeting, if the resolution or if the passed by not less than 2/3 majority, here fraction is to be rounded up to the higher figure, by not less than 2/3 majority, means if 2/3 or more majority is in favor of that motion, then that motion will be treated as carried out, passed, and immediately that member will have to vacate his seat. Registrar passes that order only, and immediately that member ceases to be a committee member or office bearer. Means for what purpose that no confidence motion has been moved. So this is regarding no confidence motion that is required to be passed by 2/3 majority. And here during the process of this meeting, names of the committee members who are in favor of that motion and against the motion they are read out in the meeting, means full transparency is there. They are read out in the meeting as well as they are recorded in the minutes. That much transparency is there. If this resolution is rejected for not having the required majority of 2/3 or more numbers of present members of that meeting, then again no confidence motion can be moved for 1 year. Once the motion is rejected for not having that required majority of the members of the managing committee present in the meeting, then no confidence motion is allowed for further period of 1 year. Okay, these are the provisions regarding motion of no confidence under section 154B24. Now section 154B25 is there. Management of housing society, housing complex, housing association or housing federation. So they have their own rules, bylaws, etc. As per the rules, bylaws, they will have to carry out management of the housing society, housing complex, housing association or housing federation. Section 154B26 is there. That is allotment of plots, flats or houses through draw of lots. See, if there is no specific arrangement or agreement among the members for allotment of specific flats or plots, then if the building is constructed or flats or plots to be allotted by the society and specific agreement was not there earlier, then this allotment will be on lottery basis by drawing lots, that is on lottery basis, on whose name that number will be there, that flat or plot will be allotted to that person. They cannot challenge that process. Next section, that is section 154B27, that is obligation of society to take action and registrar's power to enforce. See, if every cooperative housing society that is registered under Maharashtra Cooperative Society Act 1960, they are responsible to take action for performance of its obligations, responsibilities and duties as per the Act, rules and bylaws, or to execute the orders issued by the state government or the registrar. If the society fails to take proper action to perform its obligations, responsibilities, etc., or to execute the orders issued by the government or the registrar, then registrar suo motu or on an application by some person can take suitable steps to compel the society to take action or to execute the orders. In spite of initiative taken by the registrar, if again the society fails, then that registrar can take strict action on the managing committee, and if required, the registrar can remove the managing committee and they can disqualify under section 154B27. This can be also ground for disqualification, we have seen earlier. In that section 154B27, another provision is there: application for certificate for sale or mortgage and decision by the society. If any member requires certificate from the society to sell his flat, that is NOC, no objection certificate, or to mortgage his flat and to raise funds by way of loans, etc., and when he applies to the society, then the society will have to take decision on his application within 30 days and will have to him within 15 days. If society takes positive decision, then the society will have to give the required certificate, no objection certificate, to the concerned member. And if the society doesn't take a decision within 30 days or the society rejects his application, then that member has option to approach to the registrar by filing an appeal under section 152 within 3 months from the date of submission of application to the society, or within 2 months from the date of rejection letter from the society. And this appeal is required to be disposed of by the registrar within a period of 60 days, of course, by giving opportunities of being heard to both the parties. That is a provisions of section 154B27. Now further section, that is section 154B28, that is housing federation, their powers and duties. Now a special section has been inserted in this amendment for housing federation, for their powers and duties. So housing federation for particular area, that is district wise, etc., that is to be notified by the state government. Means the state government to notify housing federation for the areas specified. Every society may affiliate to notified housing federation. Means it is advisable for societies to become member of such federations. Every housing federation to create the education and training fund. Means housing federations, they will have to arrange seminars, education programs, etc. for their member cooperative housing societies, and for that purpose housing federation, they can create education and training fund. Housing societies are required to contribute to the education and training fund created by the housing federation, and housing federation will utilize this education and training fund for the purpose of arranging seminars on issues related to housing societies, imparting training to the managers and special recovery officers, members of the society or officers of the society, etc. The education and training fund also can be utilized for any other purpose as may be notified by the government. Now here one additional power is given to the housing federation, that housing federation, they can prepare and maintain a panel of managers for cooperative housing societies who are especially members of the housing federation, and also a panel of SROs, that is special recovery officers, to execute order of recovery certificate which the society can obtain under section 154B29, which is required to be executed by following the due process of section 156. So these panels of managers, panels of SROs, these federations can maintain, prepare and maintain, and the societies can appoint managers or opt for SROs from the panels prepared by the federation. These are the additional powers or provisions for federations by inserting section 154B28 in the amendment in the new act. Now next provision, that is section 154B29, that is recovery of certain sums and arrears due to housing societies as arrears of land revenue. Means this section 154B29, as I told earlier, that this is a replacement for cooperative housing societies. There is replacement of section 101 for cooperative housing societies. Means for cooperative housing societies, section 101 is not applicable. Instead, section 154B29 is now applicable. Here, for the recovery certificate to be issued to the societies, if the society, the registrar can issue recovery certificate to the society on an application by housing society will have to apply to the registrar to submit the statement of accounts of the member. Society will have to submit resolutions passed in general body meeting, levy means passing the charges to be charged on the members, charging interest, etc. And along with the other required documents, or by paying the required court fees as per the rule 86, the society can submit application, and by giving opportunity of both the parties, the registrar can dispose of the application. And registrar has given additional power under section 154B29 when the registrar is satisfied that the society has failed to take action in respect of any such means for the recovery of such dues, then registrar suo motu at his own can take this case and can hear this case and can issue recovery certificate. See, certificate issued by the registrar under this section 154B29, that will be final. There is no provision of appeal, but there is provision of revision under section 154, as I have told earlier. Again, when there is a provision for revision under section 101 or now section 154B29, the concerned member is required to pay 50% amount of the as mentioned in the recovery certificate. Then only he can file revision application. This is as per section 154B29 in the line of section 101. Now section 154B30 is there. House building cooperative societies which have achieved their objectives. See, this is formal section. See, if any housing society has been formed for the purpose of house building purpose only, and that purpose is achieved, and no any further purpose is there before the cooperative housing society, then registrar can give order for winding up the society, and winding up, and after completing the winding up process of this society, the society's existence will come to an end. Last section, that is section 154B31 is there, saving as to existing rules, orders, bylaws, etc. See, the existing rules, orders, bylaws continued until expressly repealed, unless and until there is a specific notification from the registrar or government that these bylaws, rules, circulars or instruments, they are repealed, they will be continued as they are and they will be made applicable. There are various circulars are there, they will be continued as they are and they will be applicable to cooperative housing societies. And so far as pending proceedings are concerned, pending proceeding before the registrar, before the court or before the society, they are submitted under previous provisions and they will continue under those provisions only. Means what? Means these amendments, they have prospective effect, they do not have retrospective effect, they shall not have effect on ongoing cases, ongoing proceedings, ongoing cases, ongoing proceedings, they will be continued under the provisions they are filed. So here, this is the last section of this new amendment. So I have touched all the provisions of this amendment, especially especially for cooperative housing societies in Maharashtra Cooperative Societies Act 1960, and housing societies are now will have to follow these provisions of the amendment henceforth. Here I am concluding my session. So I am offering my thanks to Vidhi Foundation and the authorities of Vidhi Foundation, especially on this platform, and to share my views, thoughts on this new chapter. Thank you very much. Thank you all. We'll meet again if opportunity is given to express my opinion on some another topic. Thank you very much.